Hey everyone, I'm JD Omnislash, and it is cold as hell outside. Since I just saw the movie in theaters and still have it all fresh in my head right now, I'd like to give some quick thoughts on Dragon Ball Super: Broly. Now, I will start, of course, by pointing out that this video will contain spoilers, so please stay away if you are not looking to be spoiled. With that said, let's do it. First order of business. Frieza is a dick. Moving on. Even before going into the story, I have to say how impressed I was with the art style and the animation. I remember when that first teaser trailer came out and the reactions were a bit mixed, especially since this all came shortly after Dragon Ball Super had finished with its last season. I think it was maybe about a week, not even a week after the last episode of the season had aired, and people were still hyped up from all of that. Any fears that people had about the look of things, I think those should be put to rest. The animation was very smooth and fluid throughout most of the movie, and even the CGI that they threw in didn't really feel as awkward or out of place as it could have. I still noticed it was there, but it wasn't anywhere near as awful as it could have been. Just to give a quick recap of my thoughts on the previous movies, Super, and everything else up till now, I felt that Battle of the Gods had a great amount of addition to the story and the lore, and that had really funny jokes, but the finale of it didn't really quite feel like it justified the build-up to me. Resurrection F had a great amount of fighting in it to make up for the lack of it in the previous movie, but then it had much less story this time around, so it made the whole thing feel more inconsequential to me a little bit. It added to the story in parts, but not majorly as much as I thought it could have. I think Broly finally managed to get all of those things just right. Great story, great build-up, great action, great everything, really. The humor here is also in full force. Something I have absolutely loved about these recent movies, and most of Super now, is how Dragon Ball has finally started to really embrace its own absurdities. You know, it's not really afraid to make fun of itself anymore, and I think that that's just great. The movie even addresses previous story inconsistencies about Goku and Vegeta's pasts, as well as the pasts of their parents. Did you want to know how Goku, Vegeta, Raditz, Broly, and all the others survived the destruction of their home world? Now you know. Broly's development was also very good, and I'd say was far, far better than the Broly of the previous movies, who was not nearly as interesting. I also really liked some of the new characters like Chilai and Limo, whose personalities complemented each other really well, and I hope that we see more of them in the future. I don't really have too many complaints here, outside of the CG that I mentioned, which wasn't a major issue. I was a little off-put by the 5 years younger joke. I mean, yes, it was it was still pretty funny, but almost just from shock value. I mean, wow. Frieza's character really has changed over the years, hasn't it? For all the flashback scenes that they showed us of how, you know, maniacal and evil that he was back in the day, he's certainly gone in a bit of a different direction. He's still evil, but it's gotten quite silly since then. I don't hate it. It's just a little surprised by how different things have really come to be. Some parts of the movie also did feel a little rushed in terms of how they moved the plot forward. I mean, again, Frieza killing Broly's father right there, and just going, shoot, oh, hey, Broly, he's dead. Are you gonna power up now? You are? Okay, great. It was funny, but again, kind of terrible simultaneously. But it's still, I mean, it got the job done. It did what we all wanted it to do, was make Broly go to the top of his ability so that Goku and Vegeta could fight him at the top of their abilities, yada yada yada. You know, it's Dragon Ball. It did the Dragon Ball thing. It'll be interesting to see if we end up seeing this fleshed out more in future episodes of Super, though that's hard to say since I don't believe the manga ever covered any of this, unlike the arcs from Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. One more thing that took me a little out of it, though some people may feel differently about this, is the way that some of the soundtrack played out, where during major fight scenes, you would suddenly start to hear almost like chanting in a background of people shouting names and attacks and things. In some respects, it was a little cool. I mean, I'm a fan of Kamen Rider, Both Showa and Heisei are a Kamen Rider. I'm used to hearing catchphrases get shouted all the time in tokusatsu and things, so it wasn't that off-putting to me, but I was a little surprised to hear it in something like Dragon Ball here. I figured that, you know, the soundtrack would just do the talking as usual. Instead, it literally did the talking, and that was a little out of place. Again, I didn't hate it. It just kind of made me wince a little and go, wait, what? It was different. Very, very different. Going back to more good things, obviously the big fights in the later half of the movie were excellent. I mean, absolutely excellent. They looked wonderful, the dynamics of the whole fight were great, and they even left us with some interesting questions about the future of things. So where do we have to go from here? There's certainly a lot of story potential. I mean, now that both Frieza and Broly are still alive out there and can go in just about any direction, I mean, if you told me 2 years ago that Frieza would be coming back to life to aid Goku in a tournament for the fate of the universe, I would have said that you were nuts, but here we are. But the major question, and this is the one I'm hearing people slowly start to talk about more after they see this, during the major fight between Gogeta and Broly, which was, again, incredible, they appeared to warp into some place. To me, it looked like another dimension. Some people thought that it was just time slowing down, but I honestly believed it looked like they went to a whole other bit of space-time as a result of the two of them clashing. And it was very, very confusing, since they obviously never explained it at any point. So my theory about it has more to do with that other dimension, and I'm actually going to take it a step further here. Now, this is just pure speculation. Everybody's throwing their guesses up into the air here. Could this other dimension, could this place that they went, have to do with the same place that Goku went to when he first learned Ultra Instinct, whether purposely or not? And the reason I'm saying that is because we still don't know what actually happened to Goku in Dragon Ball Super after he got hit by that spirit bomb, and how he vanished and came back with this new power all of a sudden. This was almost as mysterious, if not just as much. And unless I'm really losing it, I definitely noticed some of the hair color start to turn silvery in part of that fight scene. Now, again, is that foreshadowing, or is that me just staring way too hard at animation frames in a movie theater? You know, you decide. Overall, again, I will say I was very pleased with this. This may actually be one of the best Dragon Ball movies ever made, just in general. It's not too hard to even give it that type of a reaction, because it was much longer, much more fleshed out, and it hit pretty much every note that you could want in this type of movie. More story, more fighting, more questions of where we could go, but not so much that it left you feeling cheated. It just left you feeling like, wow, this is cool. Oh, wow, what a complete product that whole movie was. And I think it pulled that off successfully. And again, just really pleasantly surprised with how the whole thing turned out. I'm really excited to see where we're all going to be going from here. Thumbs up all around. Go see it if you're a fan. If not, it might not help you too much, but the additional lore will definitely help newcomers to some degree, even if they still have no idea what in the hell's going on as soon as we get back to the present time. And that's going to do it for this video. If you saw the movie as well, please feel free to tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.